think when people when the characters in the book approach the things that are happening like they're normal, it turns me off for some reason. It's like, and I think the thing that's really fun about Damn Them All is that everyone is acting like this is batshit crazy, because it is.
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Corey.
And today we will, of course, be talking about the, of course, dismantling of Los Blancos by Pep's beautiful boys in the Champions League, I assume. The game has
You really could have. You could have talked about Arsenal and Man City from last week, and I could have been like, I could have told. Well, we could have talked about soccer for once. We could have done it, Che.
Well, to be fair, this episode is being recorded before the first leg of the Galacticos clash between Real Madrid, the scum of Spain, and Manchester City. I guess technically also the scum of England, but I am rooting for them out of selfish reasons. I assume City won because they're the better team, unless Pep played Jack Grealish, because that guy sucks shit, and he will lose them the game. So that's really the. I'm putting this out into the universe because I want to be seen as a sports genius, because I'd like to be. I'd like to be hired by CBS, just so I can hang out with
Is that
Kid
your
Abdo.
Dream? Is that your dream to?
My dream is to hang out with Kid Abdo. I don't really want to work at CBS, so I don't know what the situation in which I could be her best friend. And if I can be her best friend and not work at CBS, that's great. I'll take that deal. But I just assumed I'd have to also put in some effort.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So we can talk about Formula One now.
I don't know anything about Formula One.
Another boring bout out there in Japan, actually. So
did Lewis Hamilton win again?
He did not. Lewis Hamilton has not won in a while. Actually,
I thought he was the one that won everything.
No. That's currently Max Verstappen. It's been quite the boring turnabout for the last 2 years, honestly.
How does that happen?
Because his car. The thing about it is, like, people get better cars than other people, and then like
they
you don't really
have different cars. I just assumed they were all the exact same.
No, it's not. This is a NASCAR. It's everyone gets to work on their cars, except that Red Bull has just been very good at doing that, and there's nothing really that's going to change until 2026.
So, because Lewis Hamilton used to be on Red Bull, and now he's on. Don't tell me.
He used to be on McLaren.
Fuck, all right.
And now he was on Mercedes, and he's going to Ferrari next year.
I have a lot of friends who are really into this. I
ignorant.
can't. I don't know. I can't do it. I don't even really like human racing sports. I tried to watch not Formula One. Where's the one where they drive in a straight line? What's that one?
Drag race, and that sounds fucking boring as shit.
I don't know. I don't really care about cars going fast. I don't care about cars going fast, or horses going fast, or dogs going fast.
No one truly cares about horses going fast.
I think somebody must.
Everybody who's like, I actually like horse racing is a degenerate gambler, and they're lying to you.
I think it was on this week's episode of John Oliver where he made a joke that was, I can't even remember what the reference was, but basically the joke was that there's a $86 million horse floating around.
Well, that's a kind of impressive. Horses run, Che.
Why would anything need to be? Why would a horse ever need to be $86 million?
I don't know. Good investments.
Is a Formula One car even $86 million?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah. So, and those things could theoretically last forever. Spoiler to our listeners: horses fucking die. Just spending $86 million on a thing that dies. I don't know how long horses live. 10 years, 20 years. That's crazy.
You're right. A Formula One car costs about $15 million.
So you're telling me this horse, I hope I'm not getting the number wrong. I hope I'm not I'm pretty sure it was an 86. I'm just going to Google it real quick so I don't sound like an asshole.
Okay.
$86 million horse. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Okay, well, there's a book. The first thing that comes up is a book called The $80 Million Champion, and it appears to be about a horse. So I think I'm right. Yeah, I can't fathom it. I can't understand that. I can't really understand Formula One. I'm sorry, Corey. I know you're a big fan. I'd love to be into it, but I can't do it.
It's okay. I'm one day going to get off the ground. My very niche comic book Formula One podcast.
I'm not even sure that's that niche anymore. I feel like those are both hitting the mainstream.
We're just going to be talking about like the different and the trajectory that Marvel has with killing off everybody and the It's like kind of the same metaphor though, because we're always just going in a circle, no matter what happens. It's the same fucking circle. Because guess what? The X-Men are off Krakoa again. All right, I'll stop. You should,
Today we're not actually, despite the beginning of this episode, we're not talking about the Champions League. We won't be talking about Formula One unless Corey really takes control of this podcast by the neck, and we won't be talking about Krakoa, at least on this episode. Today we'll be talking about, of course, Simon Spurrier's 2022. Actually, is there in 2021? I should have double checked. His recently ended gothic horror fantasy comedy comic book, Damn Them All. Art by Charlie Adlard and Sophie Dodgson, and the 12-issue run ended, I think, about 2 months ago, if I'm getting my timing right.
Yeah, I think so. I think it ended in January.
And that's what we'll be talking about today. And I first things first, before we do any of that, though, couple points of business as usual. Do not forget, listeners, if you haven't already, drop a subscribe. Follow us wherever you're listening. If you haven't already, especially go over there, check out the YouTube, youtube.com/@nexttimeonpod, and /@nexttimeonpod is where you can find us all over the place. It's important that you follow us because the season is really kicking off strong. We've got coming up soon, we're going to be doing our Godzilla 1998 by Roland Emmerich, Curse of the Rewatch, which I'm sure will be so much fun for us, but genuinely a lot of fun for you.
Good concept. Yeah. Good content. I'm genuinely not excited to.
We're not going to like it, but you're going to like it.
Especially after watching the powerhouse of a film that was Godzilla X Kong, New Empire.
I unfortunately haven't got to see that, but a couple movies that I will be seeing and have gotten to see in recent days that we will be talking about coming up. So don't forget to subscribe. Is, of course, Civil War's dropping. Our favorite, one of our favorites for the podcast, Alex Garland's newest film, dropping in a few days. Of course, also Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, which Corey has seen, I am seeing tonight.
Very good.
Sounds like it's fucking fire, so we'll probably be talking about that. And of course, we got to check back in on Shogun, which has just been like fucking vibrating my atoms every time I watch it. So there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Also, if you guys have the chance to see Late Night with the Devil, I know it has a limited run right now. I think it's coming back to theaters because it did so well. I really recommend that one. It's a really good horror film.
Yeah, that one, and I heard the first Omen was kind of scary. I might check that out if the theaters. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there, so it's hard to sneak everything in before it gets to streaming. We'll see, but we'll be talking about everything. So don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff. But let's just get down to business, Corey, because we got a good book to talk about, and we might as well do it. So first things first is, of course, who the hell wrote this book? So. I already said it was written by Simon Spurrier, but who is Simon Spurrier, Corey? What's some other stuff that our guy has written?
Simon Spurrier has actually been on a bit of a come up recently in like the main world of comics. I mean, as Shay, we were talking about beforehand, he apparently was involved with Warhammer books for a while, but in most recent years, he's had a really good run on John Constantine Hellblazer at DC Comics. Mm-hmm. I believe that he's had 2 comic books and currently has an ongoing with them, which is called Constantine. I think it's Made in America. But beforehand, he had a good miniseries with them, John Constantine Hellblazer, as well as also currently doing The Flash for DC Comics. Seems like he kind of found a bit of his niche a little bit. I think he's done a little bit of a run on Detective Comics, so he's kind of has a bit of a realm of like a little bit of a dark tinge to his comics, but keeps the fun, in my opinion, with things.
He seems to have a very British sensibility of humor, which I enjoy. It comes across,
which I feel like you need to have that with Constantine as well. So that makes a lot of sense.
I haven't read his Constantine run, but the 2 Spurrier books that I'd read before is his 2017 book God Shaper, which is quite good, and then recently his I can't remember what the hell the banner under DC it's called, The Dreaming. I'm blanking.
I think it's Sandman.
That's right, the Sandman. Whatever they call those things, like the mini licensing or what. I don't even know what the term is. The imprint. There you go. That's what it was. The Sandman imprint, which is good. And the Sandman imprint turned out some like interesting stuff by good writers. I feel like it's starting to fall off though as DC.
Yeah, I think the thing with
Black Label stuff.
Yeah, I think DC is like they only really want to do Black Label, unfortunately.
Which is fine. I enjoy their Black
Label. Black Label's a good imprint. Black Label's definitely a good imprint, but yeah, it seems like that's kind of what everything's getting lumped into. I think even the Hellblazer book now is actually a Black Label one as well.
Yeah. They
So
used to
think-
have. Actually, that's fine because they used to have like a bunch that were sort of the same thing, but like slightly. Like they had the Joe Hill imprint, which was
Yeah.
also really good.
Young
And-
Animal.
Yeah,
With
and then
Gerard
I think
Way.
combining them all and just saying like, here's our canon stuff. If you guys like the Justice League and fucking the Joker and all these like the stuff that you're familiar with from TV and movies, this is going to be in our main line. And then if you like the more gritty stuff where we're getting authors to do more interesting books, then check out Black Label. So
Yeah. I picked up Coda, which is also from Boom Studios books, and I haven't got a chance to open it up yet. It's like literally sitting on my bed right now. I forgot that he wrote it. So I've heard good things about that.
Yeah,
Did you ever
Coda's
read that,
pretty
Shay?
good.
Yeah,
I did not finish it.
We were gonna talk about it a couple times.
Yeah,
and then I was like, no, let me read it first.
I can't remember why I didn't finish it.
lazy.
Probably just because the overabundance of comic books, I just fell off. But yeah, I remember, and that was Matthias Bergar's art too, which I really loved in that book. Yeah, Spurrier is really good, which is why we picked this book. It was one of my favorites from last year, and certainly on brand for him. Like you were saying, he's got a real sense of or affinity for the gothic horror stuff and the mystical and I mean, this is, you even theorized this was probably at one point, and I buy it, was it probably at one point a Constantine book, and when maybe DC was like, no thank you, he just went and sold it to Boom Studios.
That's what
under
it
a
kind of
different
seems like.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for the big reveal of Alfie's face because he's the entire book cloaked in shadows, and you pointed out that it was probably because Spurrier's trying to suggest that he's Constantine, which I like that theory, because the other theory is that he had a reveal planned and then decided to like pivot and didn't, so then by the end of the book we never see his face.
It's just, I mean, that's what it seems like, at least to me, that like it was like, I don't know if it's a pivot or not, but I guess it's more of like, yes, this is about him.
Yeah.
I just can't legally say that it's about him.
It's fair. This book is not pretending that it doesn't have John Constantine vibes. The main character is a addict who smokes and curses a lot and does dark magic and lives in
Dark
London.
magic's bit of an asshole.
I mean, what do we say? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, this is very, but I mean, that's a good thing about it, though, because I was talking to Che before this, and I admittedly never finished the run itself, because I was doing this whole, in college, I was just reading through all the Constantine Hellblazer books, which I don't recommend reading those books back to back. You kind of go into a weird headspace. Don't recommend it as an impressionable college kid. But it definitely did, like, capture that tone of, like, the 80s and 90s. I think maybe Hellblazer's just the 90s, but, like, that early 90s Hellblazer of, like, taking this character who reluctantly very much tries to run away from a problem but can't get away. Mm-hmm. And in the process of it all is, like, introducing a very cool storyline that explains itself as it could be real in a way. I don't really know if that's the best way to put it or not. Mm-hmm. But as someone who's a fan of that, I really, when Che mentioned it, initially I kind of read the first arc. Like, I mean, that's when I recommended it, actually be like, we should talk about this after reading the first arc.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. I really did enjoy this this book for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Anything else about Spurrier before we move on to the rest of the creative team?
No, not really. I think, check out his other stuff. His X-Men Legacy book is something I forgot about. I was reading about it again, but it's a book primarily about the character Legion, is really good as well. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, if you see something by him, especially nowadays, it's usually a solid purchase. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you can continue on.
So rounding out the rest of the creative team is, like I said, Charlie Adlard and Sophie Dodgson, who do the art. Charlie Adlard, probably most famous for his work on Walking Dead. I'm actually not even sure what else he's done besides this and The Walking Dead. I haven't seen his name before, other than those two books. And
yeah, not super familiar besides those books for sure.
Sophie Dodgson has mostly done cover work, from what I can tell from the. Still, I say this every time we do one of these episodes. We desperately need like an IMDb for comics, because it's sometimes very difficult to find out who worked on stuff. From what I can tell, though, Dodgson has mostly done covers as well as a couple of coloring on Adventure Man books, which we both really love the art in that. And I think the art in this between Adler and Dodgson is like really strong. I love the. I love the way, especially the demons are drawn in this book. The real creativity with the with the way that the colors and when they try to Corey and I had talked about this before. We are not going to remember what the hell these demons are named because they are a series of like Latin gibberish words, and there's so many of them.
There's literally
do you remember
72.
the one that is like a imaginary, basically that is a formation of incomplete formation, basically.
I will. We're
Xeno something. Xenophilius.
Xenophilia.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chad.
The way that they do the coloring, the art for like the Xenophilius and the scary owl one. I just love the way the demons are rendered in this book. I think it really works really well, and a big part of the success of the book, and especially the success of the themes going on in this book, is Adlard and Dodgson's art. And I do
feel like it's a sense of like disassociation that the artist does. And I think last time I remember somebody doing something similar was like a bit like 8 Billion Genies, where you had this distinctive art style for the humans, but the genies themselves just felt so different that it kind of worked so well together. I even got like hints of it's your favorite series, The Department of Truth. I felt like some of like those early parts, I felt like it was sneaking into that a bit.
For sure, I could see the similarities between those two. And I think the juxtaposition between, like you were saying, the way that the humans are really drawn in like a grounded art style and the real world. And I think that's what I like about this book, generally speaking, is that it is our world, really. Like this could be set in modern times, obviously in London, but and then there is this, on top of everything, the introduction of demonic forces and black magic, and that's why I think the juxtaposition of like you can go from this art that looks like a normal crime book to then you turn the page and you see a giant 3-headed monster glowing and reflecting in the air is like
normal stuff,
which I think is my favorite kind of fantasy, because I often, we were talking about this before on a recent episode about I get a little bit turned off to genre fiction in most forms when it's like, I think when people when the characters in the book approach the things that are happening like they're normal, it turns me off for some reason. It's like, and I think the thing that's really fun about
that's interesting
is that everyone is acting like this is batshit crazy, because it is.
You're right. I think in this especially does work where even the characters who know everything are still like, oh no, this is very bad, kind of moments in it. I do like sometimes people know. I do like that sometimes, but I do feel like in this book it does work.
I shouldn't say I never like that. I think that's much harder to convey, because it's just like you have to be a really good storyteller to draw me into a world where like Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is a perfect example, where Lord of the Rings is this fantasy world where everyone is obviously acting like it's the real world, because to these characters it's the only the reality they've known. And I think you have to be a really good writer to communicate the idea to a reader who lives in like not Hobbit land that these things aren't goofy. And Damn Them All skirts around that problem. Not that I'm saying Spurrier isn't a good enough author to do that, but he's telling the story about like this world in which you don't need to pretend like everyone knows what's going on, because you don't. I think about that scene in the early part of the first book where we first see a demon, and it's revealed that like the first time people see a demon, it literally like destroys their existence. Like they like some of them literally die on the spot or like vomit their guts.
The level, the way they do the exposition in this book is just it's good because it doesn't feel like exposition. Mm-hmm. And like things that are told beforehand or like later come up again. I mean, when we get introduced to Ellie, or like a younger version of her, where she tells the story of being like, I think it's actually the first couple of pages of when she started living with her uncle and being like, I want to get into this magic bullshit, which is like an insane thing to want to do in general. It seems truly horrible to be a part of.
It's also like, it's not, at no point in this book does it seem appealing.
No.
It's not like in Harry Potter. Like you read Harry Potter and you're like, man, I wish I got my letter from Hogwarts. Although we don't know who wrote that book. It's a real tragedy. We never really
It's sad, completely sad.
But in this, I actually at no point reading Damn Them All, it was like, damn, I wish I could control demons. At no point.
No,
I think that's a key to the story he's trying to tell.
Yeah, I guess it's like people who like seek out destructive things of power. I mean, obviously people do. That's something that people do. And I mean, obviously in this case of this book, it is very much shown that the people who are actively, I guess we didn't even talk about too much of like what the concept of this book is.
Yeah, we can jump into that.
Okay, but I guess it makes more sense. well, without getting too much into it, but basically somebody has allowed 72 of the demons, like the demons they established in this world.
Not to interrupt you, Corey, but I think you're starting in the middle.
I know. I'm trying to get my brain around this at the same time. So, existing in this version,
there are 72 demons
yes, this fictional version of London. Yeah. There are 72 demons that exist, and in usual sense of things, it's like very hard to even get in contact with them, or if you do somehow stumble upon them, as Che mentioned, they like pretty much just destroy you, functionally. But someone has let it happen that these demons are easy to be possessed, and you can use them as weapons or tools.
I don't know if this is actually like a popular reference or not, but it reminds me a lot of the Bartimaeus books. Is that too niche of a reference?
I don't even know what you're talking about, my friend.
They're like a series of books that are from our childhood that basically it's this sort of thing where people are summoning jinns and genies, and
it's very much like
hierarchy
that.
And the way that they do magic in those books is instead of like casting spells like you do in lots of other fantasy, is you have to summon the demon, or in that case the genie, to then do the magic for you,
that's basically what this is. So yeah, people can put demons in these coins and use their abilities for whatever they want. Yeah. But instead of the demons being purely evil, they're actually kind of there against their will, which is kind of the twist. So it's less about like these demons, and we're introduced to them like these demons are corrupting your mind, and it's more of like, no, it's the people who are corrupting the demons, because we suck as people.
He's really pulling from, I think, really classic Christian ideology, actually, because of course these demons are fallen angels, and I will not pretend to be a scholar of the Bible, but I think that these are all real. I think these are all previously created demons in other texts. Like we have the first one we see, Andromalius, I'm pretty sure is like pulled directly from the Bible. So he's really tapping into a very specific mythology.
Yeah, I mean, like in the way that in his, like, I mean, I think we've talked about this kind of, not phenomenon, but this like writing style recently, especially because Jonathan Hickman has like made it a thing of the info dump pages, and the way that they're presented is like the notes from The Departed, not Constantine.
Yeah, I even like this. I think
I'm saying this actually works, and I feel like it's so easy to make it not good. But I think this book does, like, the way this book does exposition with all this heavy information. It doesn't. You're not gonna remember everything. I didn't remember everything when I was reading the book, but it doesn't. You don't feel lost necessarily if you don't know someone's name, because the scenes at least carry them enough through that you're okay.
Well, there was a certain point, and like I'm not usually a fan of these kinds of books where you need to have reference material, but there was a point when I started, like around the 4th issue, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna need to have the Ars Goetia, I think is how you pronounce it, just open on a different screen while I'm reading this, so that I can reference back to who all these fucking demons are.
I do wish he had like a blog post somewhere being like, okay, like let me just like, you just have those pages on it where I can just be like, please just kind of let me go back and do it. More authors should do that, because it does feel like there's a lot of like.
I also think I understand the hesitation to do this, because you would need to like have a different version for your digital comic and your print comic, but I think it would be nice, especially in the age of so many people reading these digitally. Like I read all these digitally, and I think I have ordered or pre-ordered the collected edition, so I'm excited for that, to see the art in hardcover. But the digital comic could easily come with an extra like 5 pages up front, with just like a list of all the demons we've met, so that I don't have to scroll through this absolutely convoluted Wikipedia article about all the list of the demons in the Ars Goetia, that I'm like trying to figure out who's in the book and who's not in the book, because obviously we never meet, for example, Gremory, who is a demon in the actual Ars Goetia, but I don't think it ever shows up in Damn Them All. But then, like I said, we have Androphilius, and we see Gussian and all these other demons. So I think it is fun that he's pulling from like real world myth. I keep using the word. I don't know what the word is. He's pulling from mythology that he hasn't created and formatting into the story that is very much like his own and modernized. It reminds me a lot, of course, like American God, my favorite book of all time. And even in that too, though, that Lemire is even creating new and other gods, but is pulling from mythologies from all across the globe, which I found really
Sorry,
fascinating.
did you mean Gaiman? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
What did I say?
Lemire.
I did. I said Lemire. Wow.
Yeah, you did.
Why,
I don't know.
when I'm talking, I don't. Sometimes it's just words.
I just want to make sure.
I did meet Neil Gaiman.
If there was another
Jeff
book
Lemire did not write American Gods.
If there was another book in the same vein as American Gods written by Jeff Lemire, I would need to know about that book yesterday. So I was like
weird.
excited for a moment.
I just don't understand how that happened. I'm not going to examine it.
I think we've actually banned Jeff Lemire from the book club because we just legally can't talk about him anymore. It was just becoming the Jeff Lemire podcast after a while, so I completely understand that.
I'm happy to turn it into the Jeff Lemire podcast. I think we touched on it though with the pages that are from Alfie Hawthorne's notebook. That even in that he has this sense of language and character that I think is really adds a real vibrance to the story. That could easily have been just a list of who these demons are and could have felt like homework when you got to those pages, but it gives you a sense of who Alfie is. Like I love there's like even notes where he's like, don't worry about this fucking demon, this one's not important, or like this demon's a fucking nightmare.
It's like do not fuck with this guy.
Yeah. I like that Spurrier has a real sense. That's my favorite part of this book. I'm not sure, I was talking to Corey before this, I'm not sure if I'm like super invested in the plot. I think the plot is fun. Like I like
I think that's
the world story.
Yeah, I think that's like my biggest, I guess, like it throwing one of my biggest, and I guess one of my only complaints really about this book. And it's such a weird thing to say though, but it's like the story itself isn't the strongest part about it at all. I think like the characters that he set up with the detective and Ellie and the dialogue that they use throughout the book is so good. But like the book's basically broken up into two arcs where you have one arc that kind of ends pretty well with it. I think it does a pretty good job of containing it. And it seems like in a way it's going to launch off into becoming like an ongoing comic book. And the second half is like, okay, it's going to be doing the ongoing thing. And then it very much feels like it needs to end.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I still liked it all the way through. But I think in a way the story part of it might be the weakest part.
No, I think this book is good for sure for all 12 issues, but it's clearly strongest up top because like you're saying, I think at that point Spurrier feels like he can do a lot of world building, and then the final third of these 12 issue series is really about landing this plane that he's I think landing it without having really planned to. I think suddenly it starts to descend, which is, I think he does a good job. I think the ending is actually really strong, and especially those last few pages with Ellie sort of confronting her relationship with her apparently father, I think is really strong. But I we were saying this before the we're starting to record the podcast. I find this with a lot of comic books, is that a lot of comic books feel like the author had a great idea and then got 7 issues in and thought they were going to get 50 and we're told you have 12 and they're suddenly like, well, okay, I have to figure out what my end game is. And that happens with TV too. Like this is not just a comic book thing. It just happens.
But it's like
with a lot of comic books.
And I wish I was trying to find articles about his writing for this because I was wondering.
It's not super clear this stuff ever.
Yeah, it's like, because I feel like in a way it was like he wanted this to be an ongoing, because I feel like the whole demons everywhere is the 72 demons out there in the wild. I feel like you can tell a lot of different stories about that. I mean, we even see a glimpse of it with her ex, who does like interconnecting use of the demons in order to like have everybody enter into like kind of what was like an Inception dreamscape. Is that what I'm kind of getting?
Very weird plan for our boy Cillian. Yeah, it was like a voluntary hive mind.
Yeah, voluntary hive mind that replicated heaven.
And also basically like, I mean, there's a lot of socioeconomic and gender politics in this book.
But I'm saying that
sure. It was clearly like him trying to like wipe the worries of poor people. It was like he went to this housing block in London and he was like, all the poor people now, I've taken all their worries and I've put them into the Goetia hive mind, and they don't have any problems anymore. But I'm with you that I think there's a lot of ideas here that are unfortunately cut a little bit short.
Yeah. And that one's a bit of a bummer, but
the Cillian stuff in this book is weird, I think.
It is weird because I feel like that part of it is like one of the things he wanted to probably do with this ongoing aspect where you tell these little 3 to 4 issue like kind of mini stories, and as they stack on with each other, but it feels like the last 2 issues I'm like, okay, never mind, I want to end this. And I can understand that, especially because he's back to writing Hellblazer, now, and he probably doesn't want to like double up and have to split his brain up, being like, "This is this a Hellblazer story or is it this story?" kind of vibe. And I understand that. I think he clearly loves writing Hellblazer and he wants to continue doing that more. But yeah, I'm just kind of this only thing that disappointed me because I really ended up liking Dora and Ellie, and I remember what's the name of the demon that turns into like that's the dog. I can't remember at the very end, but I don't know her demon companion.
That's
dog.
the one they all call different names over and over again. They call it like Glasgow Labia, and like because nobody knows how to pronounce it.
But I like Glasgow Labia. That guy was. I like though. It's like the dog. They like he like I can't technically lie, but you have to ask me questions. And even when he's like, I'm conflicted now because I like her now. And that was a really fun idea to play around with like some of the demons like that, and, like the rules and stuff that it is. And I mean, just in general, I would never want to control one of these guys because it's very clearly like you're poking a bear consistently, and it's just the audacity of our main bad guy to be like, this guy's not gonna fuck with me in the minute. The literal second that the demon could fuck with him, everything she just.
It's a classic trope of this genre of fantasy where like we're playing with fire literally sometimes, and you get a little too confident. You fly a little too close to the sun and then immediately die. Also, the Glasgow Labia's real name is Glacia Labolas.
I understand now.
The Count and the President.
I did like. I was trying to find some kind of article because I'm wondering. I'm like, how much in it was like real actual demons, or was it like
every demon we see is from the Ars Goetia. So if you go to the Ars Goetia Wikipedia, you can see all 72 demons.
Can you somehow spell that for me?
It's ARS.
I found it. Thank you.
There you go. So all the demons we see, like I think even the sigils that we see every time you're introduced to a new demon and you see that page with the sigil, I think he's pulling that sigil directly from, I'm definitely saying this that it's wrong, but I have no idea how else to pronounce it. The Ars Goetia. He's pulling all that information directly from the.
It seems like you are correct.
Mythology. Yeah. So, which is I think that's a really cool way to structure your book. Like I think you cut a lot of the hard work out with his like. You have to create this world, but I think it also what it does is it does the other thing that we were talking about. We both really liked about this book is that like it grounds it in reality because for us, this is real mythology that exists. So in theory, let's be clear, I'm not suggesting this is what's happening, but in theory, there could be a bunch of magicians in London right now reading their Ars Goetia and summoning a bunch of demons.
This is why we don't go to England, Shay.
Yeah, this is why. It's not the fucking crippling debt.
What are you talking about? I'm super employed right now and definitely am not struggling to get by.
Yeah, no, I think it's really a smart approach to the book. Like I said, same with it reminded me a lot of American Gods when I was reading it. That it's the twist on like ancient mythology makes the fact that it's set in modern times even more compelling in a lot of ways. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that's also something I really like about the Hellblazer. At least, like, I hate saying the words urban fantasy genre because it's like it just I don't know that phrase just sounds like bad. But like I think when it just
does. But I know what you mean. I really like that as well. Yeah. Because I think one of the fun parts about this book is when you realize that like these guys that are controlling demons and the big bads of the book are just in a different book in a non-fantasy book would have just been mob bosses and have like mob boss tendencies. There's literally the main bad guy's plan in this book is revealed to be a protection racket, which is like fucking 1950s New York mob shit.
It's just so much of like small thinking. It's all just like everything about it is like you're doing all these things for just like basically just trying to get a bigger gun, and that's the most interesting way to look at these guys where they're like not the ones who are trying to use it for power, or like even then it's just like the little things.
Right.
And it's like you're right, it's like a protection bracket, but you think they have all of these grand machinations of world domination. It's like, nope, they still want to be gangsters and businessmen at the end of the day, but like they're happy with what they have. They just want to do it better.
When it's revealed that quite literally none of the demons could leave London, so this entire thing has been about controlling London.
Just London.
It's so funny to me. It's like you're saying. It's these guys who talk so big and pretend to have these big ideas about changing the world, and they're barely changing like W1A. Like they fucking they're like taking over the fucking. We just talked about Cillian. Cillian's big plan is, I guess, eventually would be to control the whole world in a hive mind. But when we meet him, the only thing he's done is take over one apartment block in one neighborhood in London. I mean, he's barely a crime boss.
Yeah, and he's not really necessarily even doing it well.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I think is so fun about all these characters is like even our main character Ellie is. I mean, she's like a true fuck up. I mean, like, genuinely kind of like an awful person in a lot of ways, which is a lot like Constantine.
Yeah, just genuinely a fucked up person. She's an addict. She uses sex to get what she wants. It's like everything, like kind of just a person you just don't want to run into.
That scene where I can't remember if it was right after it was revealed that Cillian dies. It was somebody had just died, and immediately she goes and does like literally is like surrounded by people still talking about it, and it's like doing drugs. I mean, she's just fucked up, and
she's
and it's so fucked up that her emptiness takes down an entire hive mind. Is one of my favorite moments in the book is that it's when they reveal that she's literally too broken to be taken into the Cillian's hive mind.
Well, also Cillian is kind of just an idiot as well, but the king of just like douchebag white dude, kind of just like his entire vibe, like just going into a different like culture and be like, you're wrong about this thing, and then he goes to shit.
Well, he's also like I was saying, like Spurrier clearly has a lot of ideas. That's why I kind of wish this book was longer. I mean, anytime I like something, I wish it was longer. But
exactly, that's my one complaint about the book, because I'm like, if you just like kind of just kept doing these stories, really, and then like kind of like everyone had their little arcs too. You had like Ellie coming out of it as a detective. Dealing, like, falling into this world of magic and bullshit, and then, like, these little stories that could have taken place throughout London. I mean, I don't know shit about London, but, like, we could have done these stories more, and, yeah, I don't know, I really wish it would have went on longer, I guess, like, when you're looking at, I guess, you doing business in books, I'm assuming maybe he got more money just doing DC books than this book, so it's, like, hard for him to double down and do, feel like you don't want to tell a story bad. I guess you don't want it to be your B plot dumping ideas. But I mean, I hope that's the one thing about him wrapping up the story. And I guess like, does he actually like? Because not all the demons leave, right?
They're all like everyone is sent to heaven. So I think there could be.
More yes, yes, there could definitely be some shenanigans.
But I think the finale. This book does feel pretty final in the end, because especially we get that line about that she's talking to, sort of like she's talking to Alfie when she's sitting on the bench, not directly to him, but obviously like speaking to his memory, and is saying that the funny thing about this whole thing is that the world is irrevocably changed. Like literally, hell has been destroyed and everybody has been sent to heaven, including the demons that were thousands of years ago cast down to hell itself, and nobody seems to care on Earth. Like they're still just walking around doing their jobs. The line is, people are still cunts, people are still incredible. It's like the nothing has changed, even though everything has changed, and that is the nature of like these fantasy books in general, and that's why I think. The fact that it feels so big, like this is like a world-altering, life-altering thing for Ellie. Literally finds out that her parents aren't her, or at least her father wasn't her father in the course of this book. But as we were saying, the actual stakes in the grand scheme of
her father was her
pretty
father.
Small.
Her father was her father. Her uncle was just in love with her mother.
No, Alfie is her dad.
Alfie's her dad?
Yeah.
Did I just fucking miss that?
Yeah, that's why she can use her blood. It comes pretty quick. So she realizes that like this is very, I don't even know if this is like super important to the broad strokes of the book. But so there's that flashback where Alfie is talking to Theo and they have that fight over the bartender at the bar, and then Alfie's brother goes home with that bartender.
Yes.
So Alfie's brother and the bartender are her mother or her parents. But then she comes to the realization that actually over the course, like he never really stopped being in love with her, and probably her mother had an affair with him, and Alfie is her real father, which is why she can use her blood to reverse his original magic.
Okay.
See, this is in part, all the words I just said in a row is in part why I said I don't like genre fantasy or genre fiction that much, because all the shit I just said was so stupid.
Yeah, but we also critically discuss books about
I know.
people in skin tight clothing punching each other.
Yes, I have a real duality of man trapped inside my body. I'm aware of that. I think the thing that attracts me to this book, though, is that all the silly stuff, which is silly is not the right word. I'm belittling it as a joke, but like all the real like hardcore fantasy stuff is wrapped in real world themes and everything, and that's why I think I wish that Spurrier had written a little bit more, because the themes he's exploring he has some really interesting ideas here. Like I said, he touches on socioeconomic class struggles in London, and then also the gender politics in this. The stuff with Cillian literally controlling Ellie to like quote unquote try and save her is real like nice guy shit.
Oh yeah, no, he's like
we've had much discourse about over the and Spurrier's really tapping into that.
Yeah,
and
I think it definitely
unfortunately just doesn't have enough time to do a real complex investigation of it the way I would love.
Which is another cool thing about this book is though, like that's why I kind of am upset the series is gonna go away. I mean, at least temporarily. It's like obviously with these kind of stories, you can come back to it. The main demon plot line can be over, but these characters still exist and you can come back to them.
Yeah.
But that's like, I mean, like there's also like a whole thing. A lot of her stories in this book are definitely built around her being a woman kind of thing too. So it's something that really can't be explored as much with Constantine. Or if it's like a woman character in Constantine, they usually end up dead just because of the nature of the way the book works. Everyone dies in that book besides Constantine. I mean, that's just kind of the normal thread of things. I wish there was a good Constantine movie and not the one I got with Keanu Reeves.
There's one coming, right?
I think it's been one of those ones in development hell. At least
Forever,
DC themselves has not.
I thought we got I thought there was like a thing where at Comic-Con, something. Keanu Reeves was like, "We are doing this." And
okay, I believe that is true. I believe that like somebody like that was came out and said it was happening.
Yeah.
But I don't think
I don't know if I want that. I'll be honest.
I genuinely do not want that.
I like Keanu as much as the next guy. I'm not sure Keanu Reeves at this point in his career, or even, I think even really ever, would make a good John Constantine. I mean, he doesn't have... Keanu Reeves is not snarky.
He's not. He's also not British.
He's very much not British, which doesn't super bother me because the Brits have been taking our acting jobs for years. We've had a fucking
finally taking it back,
Batman. So you know.
We gave it to you fucks.
But I always found the Keanu Reeves casting strange. I think especially now because like think about Keanu Reeves playing John Constantine as like he does John Wick. I mean, it's just not the same. Maybe he's got it in his locker, but I don't know. It's also apparently at least at the moment supposed to be directed by Francis Lawrence, who has most recently done the Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which you said was kind of fun, but
it was 2/3 of a fun movie, but that third act was a woozy. Oh man, that was a long.
I was gonna say that in a lot of ways describes the Lawrence experience because he also directed Red Sparrow. You ever seen Red Sparrow, Corey?
I've never seen Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow, I would say, is not even 2/3 of a good movie. It's about 1/3 of an okay movie, and then suddenly gets really, really boring all of a sudden.
Oh no!
Shout out to Jennifer Lawrence though; she's really good in that movie. I think that's one of her better performances in a movie that is letting her down at all possible moments.
Like that's kind of her career, unfortunately.
I know it's really, it's really sad. Although I think it seems like she's making a lot of these choices. Like she decided to make this No Hard Feelings movie from last year.
People liked it apparently. So
who is people?
I don't fucking know, man. Not me. I didn't see it.
No, he was terrible. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Jay. But
we're not talking about bad movies. We're talking about good comic books.
Yes, we are. And I really did enjoy Damn Them All, I think.
Anything else you want to say about this? We could take a quick break and come back and talk about some more specific moments from the book, unless you got general thoughts on Spurrier's book.
No, that works for me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that.
What's up, man?
What's up?
How you in at work?
Got fired yesterday.
For real? I thought you had a day off yesterday.
I did. I went in there to pick up my check, came home. Supervisor called me about 4 o'clock. Talking about they got me on videotape stealing boxes.
What the fuck you doing stealing boxes for? What, you trying to build a clubhouse? Man, I know you ain't go out like that.
Hell no. They ain't got me on tape. She said they did. Fired me on the spot. Talking about pressing charges.
God damn. You got to be a stupid motherfucker to get fired on your day off. Pop's talking about kicking you out again?
Yep.
And we're back.
So,
All right, so we're gonna run down a few moments. We talked about the book generally, what we liked about it, what was working. We're gonna talk about some of the general, some of the specific moments from the book that we really enjoyed. We pulled 10 moments. Corey, you want to run them down one by one, and I will find the page. How about that?
sure thing. In the first issue, we kind of get Ellie's reveal. This is after kind of her this is like after her playing the judge, but also like a lot of her doing the narration into it.
Yeah. I pulled this out because I really like the way this book starts. This is on book 1, page 12. So basically for the first 10 pages, we don't see anybody's face. It's kind of like this dream sequence where it feels like a memory, which it is. It's Ellie narrating memory. And then we get this cool reveal of what our hero looks like on the 12th page. It turns out we will never actually see Alfie's face for the rest of the 12 issues. But I thought we would eventually see his face, but that's not the case. But yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, a good job of us having everybody look kind of the same, and then like the characters be like a black woman and this other woman. It's like kind of finally like jumps out to you, be like, oh, okay, these are the people who are going to be our main.
To the point where the two white guys she has sex with in this book, I 100% get confused with each other.
She has a type, and they both suck.
It's fair. Yeah. What's the next one, Corey?
On the end of book 1, where we like after seeing all of these very mystical, gigantic, monstrous versions of these demons, we have
we're told they're pure evil.
Pure evil, and the final page is like flipping that whole subject on its head and kind of the reveal that these demons are here against their will, and they very much want to be exorcised. I mean, even the book says exorcise us, but it's a very good reveal. I think that was like, I mean, a hell of a way to end a first issue, because I'm like, oh, now I want to know what happens. Like, this isn't a standard, like, we got to go out and we got to take these demons down. It's like, oh no, it's like the people are evil and we got to kind of deal with that thing.
Yeah, I was all set for like a classic demon hunting fantasy book, and then we get that end of that first book, and we're just like, oh, something more insidious is going on here. I thought that was really smart.
All right, and next up we have the second issue where we're kind of getting the backstory Detective Dora. We're kind of figuring out like how she knows Ellie's uncle, and apparently she met him in a bar. But this is after she was a detective. And she was brought into a school shooting incident where she ends up talking down the shooter by basically getting him to kill himself. And like, it's just being racked with the guilt of this. And that's kind of like her introduction to the story. And she's just trying to like her story arc is very much trying to exorcise this, what she feels like was evil out of her system. Yeah. But what I feel like was just doing your job, apparently.
Yeah, and I really like that line that's repeated on the page. We get this full, almost blank page with just a red bar of the kid shooting himself, and we get the quote repeated. It was the right approach. It was the right approach, which I really love that they use. It's a really quite a powerful book, and then it tells us all we need to know about this character and her motivations going forward.
And then as we continue that entire motivational scene, we kind of get to the end of that scene. It's in like 4 pages later. It opens up with Dora drinking at a bar, and we assume she's drinking at a bar. And then it pulls out to see that Ellie is dumping vodka over the dead bodies,
cleaning up a carnage with a crying baby demon sitting on the floor in the corner.
I think that's like the page of the book. Of this series in general. It's just kind of just like showing off like what the tone is. It's a little bit fucked up, but also if you say it out loud, it's kind of funny. But
we have a character bearing their soul, one of the worst things that's ever happened to them, one of the worst things that's ever happened to anybody, drinking alone, like seemingly like kind of alone in a dark room, and then it's revealed that actually it's like a crime scene's being cleaned up while a demon cries next to her.
Next to a cop.
Yeah.
And then the next one we have is the end of issue 5. Kind of like the next like mic drop moment kind of thing, but it's revealed that Uncle Alfie is the one who fucked everything up.
Yeah,
it's like actually as you discover the mystery, you're like, who killed him and like who's actually doing this thing? But it's like actually in his mind, this was the correct thing to do. And we continue that on into the next issue. at page issue 6, page 8, where like we kind of had the story where like he's like Alfie's explaining why he did what he did, but instead of I like it though, because instead of just her just being angry, she just banishes him.
Yeah, it's again, it's this, we always see from this character Ellie is like basically she's pretty emotionally immature and unstable at times, and the people around her are certainly in themselves emotionally unstable and immature, and her relationship with Alfie is a really I would say unhealthy one from the little we see of it in this book. And yeah, like the reveal that Alfie is actually the one who selfishly, because the reason he did it is literally just because he was like, I'm gonna die, I'm going to hell, and hell seems like kind of a bummer, so let me just like banish all the demons to London, the city that my daughter lives in, and let's just throw all the demons there.
And I think it was a very like, it might have been in the Constantine movie as well, but like in one of my like favorite Constantine moments was that he sold his soul to so many different demons that when he died, they were like about to fight. And they were like, you know what, better to not fight about it. Let's just let this asshole live. And I'm like, it's such like a very like clever, but also such a selfish approach to things. Yeah. But I mean, in his mind, his short-sightedness, this was the correct thing to do.
Right. And at this point, it's been revealed to us that actually hell was not that bad because the demons were actually kind of chill.
Yeah, demons were chill. In this world,
and it's only gotten worse since they got expelled. So
it seemed like a bummer because you made it a bummer, bro. Right. And also, God's dead in this world, so it's just like none of this actually.
I didn't include that, but that's a great line when we finally the angels are fighting the demons, and Ellie's asking like, does your God want you to kill me? And Michael, the angel Michael's literally like, there's no God, and there probably never was one, which is a wild statement.
Just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the next one, Jay, you actually want to do this one? It's the Andros reveal. Can you want to talk about this one a bit more?
This is in book 9, page 10. If you're reading along, it's just a great page. Basically, we get a full page where the demon Andros, who is the owl-headed, dog-riding, sword-wielding psychopath, basically, and this is when it's a wild sentence. This is when he's trying to break out of the magic circle that Alfie made to lock them all in London, and he's basically wreaking havoc on the M3, I think is what it is, in the highway that circles London. And Detective Dora goes and speaks to him, and we just get this great panel of him like standing 3-4 times her height while she's trying to get him to
literally has the sky cracked. It's like kind of that talk about disassociation that the art kind of does, and it's like kind of hard to look at, but I love it. That'd be a killer tattoo. And it's like I feel like that's the moment, like the most like it's crashed together, and it's like in a way like reality seems a bit broken in that moment. And then this is like Che's other favorite it's like I think Che's like favorite scene of the book, or at least the favorite idea behind the book, is in the 10th book. We have kind of just the reveal of like that fact that it's like they're just trying to do a production.
It's when Theo talks through his, but not Theo, but basically like the 500 Club is talking through their plan, what their plan was the whole time, because Ellie's actually the whole book trying to figure out like, why the fuck would anybody want to do any of this stuff? It's like more, she knows this is more of a hassle than it's worth, even though magic is like irrevocably changed since what Alfie did. But then just the reveal that these like dickheads that hang out in Parliament and do black magic are actually just as dumb as all the shitty mobsters that we've seen in like they're as dumb as the guys from The Sopranos who were like a laughing stock. That was the whole point of the show, is that like their whole play was that it's just we're gonna make it as bad as we possibly can for everybody, and that they'll have to come to us for protection because we're the only ones that have demons strong enough to protect them. And you're like, you're running a protections racket. You're basically shaking down dry cleaners like Vinny Two Thumbs. Like, what the fuck is going on here? I love that reveal. I think it's really it encapsulates this book in the nutshell. Like we were saying, it's these massive stakes that are actually not. They're so tiny and such small people with such small dreams. But yeah, I love that page.
I mean, I think that's like the emphasis of the book is like a bunch of like very powerful men who do a bunch of who have their ideas and their own misconceptions of what is best for the world. And each of them, I mean, we see it with Alfie, we see it with our main bad guys, we see it with the fuckboy, Cillian.
Even every like criminal we meet in passing is like their plan is so silly. There's like a guy who like wants to sell. He's like a drug dealer. You have a fucking omnipotent demon, and your master plan is to sell drugs. People sell drugs now.
Your master plan is to keep doing crimes. Like that's my fucking thing. It's like you're continuing to be a criminal when you don't have to be a criminal.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
And I think a lot of the point of this book is that people, like Ellie says at the end, and then throughout the book, is that people don't change. People get locked into habits, and that's the thing is that no matter what comes, like you might grasp the greatest power in the world, and it turns out you're actually still a small person with small dreams. You know, it's the book is quite nihilistic, but I really I connect with it. So maybe
it's nihilistic, but I think it's one of those things. It's like nihilism with the hint at the end. It's like it's not all nihilistic, but it's like at the same time, it's like. It's there. It's not completely controlled by those people, but I get what you're saying. At the end of that issue as well, we have the Angels are like just coming down. We keep on hearing about the 500 Club, and it's her finally there, and it's as goofy as it all fucking seems. But it's like as the Angels just descend upon the Trojan horse. That I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to describe the whole Trojan horse.
It's not
thing
that
happened.
I honestly just pull this out because it's just a great art panel. The angels flying above everybody as they burn. Like the thing is, in this book, the angels are really
assholes.
They're in a lot of ways they're the demons. They're
worse than
They light people on fire with angel fire, and they kill all these humans. And the only reason that the demons are still trapped on Earth nearing the end of the book is because the angels are having so much fun hunting them that they don't want this to end. It's literally just like they're having a good time killing demons.
So fucked up, man. Yeah. Angels suck, bro.
My only complaint about the angels in this book is I kind of wish they'd gone for like the biblical. The
eyes,
insane looking things. That would have been so funny.
I don't want that. I'm happy it's not that because I don't like looking at that. I forget like some artists actually do use that, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want to look at that.
It's quite disconcerting. Yeah.
We are just uncreative because we're like they have wings and they look like us. Like, God, come on, guys, come on, authors. Yeah. And our final thing from the book was like another meta, like kind of talk to the audience scene, which I think like a lot of it was, but it was like Ellie is getting controlled by Cillian. Or attempting to be controlled, and basically the void that is her is the reason that his entire destruction befalls him.
Yeah, I talked about what I like about this. I mean, it's just a great sequence, but I think the thing I like about it is the themes that Spurrier is touching on. Is that it obviously in this world that she's just being at every turn, Ellie is betrayed by every man in her life, and this is the in a lot of ways the final straw. We see that this basically essentially breaks her. She becomes, I mean, she just throws caution to the wind after this and becomes truly destructive. It quite literally destroys the afterlife because this dickhead Cillian like just wanted to control everybody in his life, literally control everybody in his life, including this person that he proclaims to love. So
nice guy.
I think it's quite a powerful scene wrapped in just a good piece of fantasy storytelling. So
agreed. But I mean that's the last page we have on our list, Jay. You got any final thoughts on this book before we wrap it up?
No, I think like we said this whole time, there's a lot of really fun fantasy stuff going on here. If you love fantasy books, check this out. If you don't love fantasy books, I actually think this has a lot for non-fantasy readers too.
I think this is like I wouldn't consider myself in a way. I mean, it is fantasy, but it's one of those things where I don't really want to be like this is hard fantasy in a way. I think it's more of like, it's like if Harry Potter like fucked, man. Like this is kind of like that vibe. What if Harry Potter did drugs?
I've got that screenplay sitting somewhere on one of my computers. I think that this, like I said, great book. Corey and I really loved it. If you got to this point in the podcast but haven't checked it out, thank you for listening. But also, go read the book. It's a good one. Couple points of business before we close out. I'll let you guys go. Don't forget, follow us at Next Time On Pod all over the place, especially over there on YouTube. That's youtube.com /at Next Time On Pod, and drop us a subscribe, drop us a like, all that good stuff. Excuse me, Jesus. Don't forget the Curse the Rewatch coming up in the next couple of weeks is going to be the Godzilla 1999 by Roland Emmerich. And coming to you guys next week, we just got another regular episode. Like I said, a ton of good shit. Probably talking Monkey Man, probably talking Civil War, probably talking comic books, probably talking a bunch of stuff. We're going to be having a good time, so don't forget to subscribe so we can find us in your feeds all over the place. Anything else for the people, Corey?
Nothing else from me.
I've been Che.
I've been Corey.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.